Hello everyone, welcome back to the interview question series of videos. In this video, we are going to talk about the frequently asked questions for automation testers in TestNG. So in my last video, I talked about Selenium web drivers, and there we discussed few interview questions related to Selenium. Now in this video, we'll see the TestNG questions, and in my next video, I'll talk about the Cucumber question. So right now I'm going through the basic questions. In my coming videos, I'll just change my level, and maybe in one of the videos, I'll talk about the questions related to projects that's usually asked in interviews. So let's start with this video. So the first question that usually asked in TestNG is, what is TestNG? Now everyone knows about basically Selenium. You know that Selenium is a web driver that helps to perform testing. So TestNG, it's basically an open source testing framework where NG stands for next generation. Now TestNG is preferred for the developers for its ability to write proper test cases with the help of annotations, grouping, and parameterizing. So basically TestNG, you can say it generates report in form of like if the test case passed, failed, or skipped. So basically it gives you a report in this form. That's what TestNG bring into use. So here things goes similar to Selenium WebDriver. Just what's new here is you will generate test report for every test execution. So whatever you are executing, you will have test report for that. Now, the next thing, what are the advantages of TestNG? Or basically you can say list the advantage of TestNG. That's very important to know that why we are using TestNG apart from we are having Selenium. So what new things that TestNG brings into use? So TestNG basically provides parallel execution of the test measure methods. It allows defining the dependency of one method over methods. It allows assigning priorities. It allows grouping test methods. It supports parameterizing. It supports data-driven testing using data provider annotation. And also you can say it generates a report for every test cases. So you see TestNG brings lots of things to use. It's like you can run multiple codes together. You can go with the parameterizing things. You can say multiple values again and again, generate test report for every test cases. Now, in TestNG, if basically you see in TestNG, the sequence is not maintained. So just to maintain sequence, we have priorities. So one of the favorite question will be like describe priorities in TestNG. So in TestNG, priority is used to specify the order in which test methods should be executed. That means as you see in this code, it's written, as you put the priorities number, the test case will execute in that particular order. So priority is basically used for setting the execution process, or you can say just setting the priorities of the test case execution. Now the next one, what is data provider in TestNG? Now this is completely new feature in TestNG, and the use of this data provider is basically to pass multiple values for the same test case, and these multiple values are usually passed using object of array, and the array should be in multi-dimensional form. So multi-dimensional form, that means you pass multiple values for the same test case. So you write one test case and using data providers, you pass this multiple values. Once this multiple values are passed, the test case are executed for the same test case using data providers. So this is one of the most important questions. Usually it will be asked in interviews that tell us about data provider, because this is completely new feature in TestNG. Now the next one, how to skip a test method. So just a simple answer to this question is we have three ways of skipping. One is just to the test annotation, you can put enabled is equals to false. That will skip the test case. Second, you can write this line, throw new skip exception. So this will also skip a test case. And the third way is conditional skip. That means the user can have a conditional check. If the condition is met, it will throw skip exception and skip the rest of code. So just straightforward answer for the skip annotations for the skip is just you can go and skip in these three ways. Now, what is this timeout feature in TestNG? Now, this is one of the most interesting feature in TestNG. So timeout, it goes with the name. Like you can say, just we pass a particular time limit to a test case, and based on that time limit, that particular test method gets that time to execute. So it means that in the time limit that you have passed, if the test method executes, then it's fine, or else the test case will fail. So timeout is basically used for setting the time limit for a particular test case to execute. Now, what are the advantage of data provider features? Now, you know that data provider basically, as we have already seen in this question, one question behind, that data provider has to perform testing process like passing multiple data at the time for the same test case. So basically, this brings reusability, maintainability, and parameterizing. Reusability means for the same test case, you can use same data as many times you want. Maintainability means no need to add some duplications to your code. So duplications will be avoided here. And parameterize means that it makes test combinations easier. So that's the advantage of data provider. So data provider is one of the most important portion of TestNG. So you'll have these type of questions from data provider. Now, how dependency works in TestNG. Now, right now we have come across priorities. The job of priorities is to set the sequence of test case. Same like that, dependencies is also used for setting the sequence of test case. Just the difference here is, in case of dependency, when along with this test annotation, when you mention that this particular method is dependent on the last method, then in that case, that method should pass without any failure. If that method passed without any failure, then only you are allowed to move to the next test case. Or else, if that method fails, then the next method will skip by itself. So that's the use of dependency. Dependency basically tells us that the current method is dependent on some particular method. Now, what is basically you can say what is test annotations and how do you use it? So test annotations, you know, basically there are different types of test annotations. One is like annotation test, before method annotation, after method annotation, and data providers. So basically this defines the behavior of test methods, and this is used to add more functionality to our test method. So this is the description of the test annotations. Now, as you are familiar with this test annotation, so here comes a question. Explain the purpose of before method annotation in TestNG. So before method test annotation is basically used to execute a particular test method before a test case is executed. That if you want to put a particular thing before the execution of test case, put things like you can initialization of objects, or you can say connection with database. So basically these type of activities, if you want to perform before a test case executing, then you can go for before method. So now these are the different interview questions related to TestNG. We'll come up with more questions. In my next video, I'll talk about the questions related to Cucumber that is also asked for the automation tester. So just to stay tuned to my upcoming videos, hit the bell icon and the subscribe button. And if you like the videos, don't forget to share it with your friends. Till then, bye-bye. Thank you.